As the final buzzer neared, both teams had already learned what they came to find out. For the Denver Nuggets, it was confirmation that their culture and championship structure remained firmly intact. For the Chicago Bulls, it was a deeper understanding of their roster's character, grit, and untapped potential. This wasn't a game where stars like Nikola Jokic or Jamal Murray needed to dominate from start to finish. They did what they always do: showed up early, controlled the tempo, made high-IQ plays, and set the tone. Jokic's ability to manipulate defensive coverages without even scoring is something few players in the league can match. His mere presence altered how Chicago defended pick and rolls, forcing hedges, delays, and opening up the floor for shooters. Murray, looking poised and physically healthy, was selective but deadly. His two-man game with Jokic remains one of the most unguardable sequences in basketball, a mix of instinct, timing, and trust built over years. Denver's offensive philosophy, built on movement, spacing, and unselfishness, makes their role players look better, and their role players respond by playing smart and with confidence. Christian Braun exemplifies this. Not only did he contribute with timely buckets and sharp cuts, but his effort on defense, hustle in transition, and willingness to make the extra pass reflect the values instilled by coach Michael Malone. Bruce Brown's veteran savvy was once again evident, showing up in the flow of the game, knowing when to cut, when to pull back, and when to make physical plays that disrupt rhythm. Denver's bench rotations were methodical. Even in a preseason setting, the spacing and off-ball movement from their reserves mirrored the discipline of their starters. This is the mark of a well-coached team. Younger players like Watson took steps forward, showing they can fit into this structured system without needing to dominate the ball. Watson's decision-making has improved, particularly on drives where he now chooses controlled finishes over forcing contested shots. On the Bulls' side, head coach Billy Donovan used this matchup as a testing ground, not just for schemes, but for character, and what he saw should give him hope. Despite falling behind by nearly 20 points at one point, Chicago refused to wave the white flag. That fight was led by a group of players trying to prove they belong, not just on the roster, but in the core rotation. Chief among them was Jevon Carter, known mostly for his defensive prowess and toughness. Carter flipped the script in the second half. He transformed into a scorer, shot creator, and emotional leader. He found the rhythm every shooter dreams of, where the basket looks like a swimming pool, and Denver had no answers for him late. His ability to generate offense without needing a screen or set play is an asset Chicago will need when their primary options are cold or off the floor. Even more impressively, he did it while maintaining his intensity on defense, applying full court pressure and contesting every look. Dallin Terry was the emotional pulse of the Bulls. Every rebound, deflection, and floor dive energized his teammates. He doesn't need the ball to affect the game. He defends with passion, plays with relentless energy, and is always talking and encouraging teammates, calling out screens, rotating, or just bringing vocal energy to a quiet moment. He had multiple glue guy moments that kept Chicago in it, the kind of plays that don't show up in box scores but change momentum. His progression from rookie to reliable rotation piece is clearly underway. Then there's Matisse Buzelis, arguably the most exciting prospect of the night. It's rare to see a player his size with such a smooth shooting motion, handle, and feel for the game. What stood out wasn't just the made shots, but the confidence he played with. He didn't hesitate, he played within the offense, didn't force anything, and knew where to be. His catch-and-shoot mechanics were fluid, and he was active on the glass. There were even a few possessions where he switched on to smaller players defensively and held his ground, showing the two-way upside that makes him such an intriguing long-term piece. Giddey, who has steadily matured into one of the more cerebral young guards in the league, played the part of facilitator, connector, and occasional scorer. His pace control and decision-making allowed Chicago's offense to settle into good rhythm after the initial Denver storm. When the Nuggets tried to apply pressure, Giddey kept the ball moving, often making the hockey assist that led to open shots. His unselfishness paired well with Buzelis' spot-up shooting and Terry's slashing. The final minutes of the fourth quarter became less about final score and more about message. The Bulls, led by second and third unit players, they were outworking, out-hustling, and out-shooting Denver's reserves. They had trimmed a nearly 20-point lead to 7, with possessions remaining. The bench was up, veterans were cheering them on, and the momentum was real. Denver had to reinsert some steady hands to avoid a full collapse, a sign of respect for Chicago's late-game fight. From a coaching standpoint, both staffs got what they wanted. Malone saw his team execute, maintain composure, and show depth. Donovan saw hunger, development, and competition. He also saw some hard truths. The Bulls still struggle against elite pick-and-roll offenses, their perimeter switching leads to mismatches, and communication breakdowns persist when rotations get deep, but those are fixable. What's harder to coach? Heart, competitiveness, and belief was already there. The fans, too, got something out of it. They didn't just see stars coast through preseason minutes. They saw young players trying to earn jobs, veterans leading by example, and teams playing with real intensity. In a league where preseason can often feel meaningless, this game had meaning. It was a reminder that every minute matters when you're building a culture, a rotation, or a season. In total, Denver, crisp, methodical, and every bit the contender they're expected to be. The core looks sharp, and the bench continues to prove its reliability. Chicago, young, hungry, and still figuring it out, but with clear growth. The flashes of potential weren't just isolated, they were sustained. Particularly in this fourth quarter, it wasn't a win in the standings for the Bulls, but it was a win in development, in identity building, and in discovering who's ready for the moment when it's no longer preseason, when it counts for real.